Welcome back to part 2 on law of sine and cosine. We're now going to look at an example where we have two angles and a side. I'm going to label the angles and corresponding opposite sides as follows. If angle A is 32 degrees, the opposite side is 42.9. That is a length. I also know that angle B is 81.8 degrees. I don't know the opposite side. And I also don't know angle C. But I can find it. Or I don't know side C. Notice that the capital letters represent the angles and the lowercase letters represent the side lengths opposite. If I know that angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180 degrees, then I can take a substitution in here, 32 degrees for angle A plus 81.8 degrees for angle B plus an unknown angle for C equals 180 degrees. That gives me an angle C of 66.2 degrees, simply by solving for C. Now I need to figure out how to solve for the unknown pieces. I know that angle C is 66.2 degrees, and I don't know sides C and B. So I'm going to use the law of sines. So I have sine of A over side A equals sine of B, that's the angle, over side B. This information is given. I know that sine of A is sine of 32 degrees, and the opposite side of angle A is side A, which is 42.9. I don't know B, but I know that sine of the angle B is sine of 81.8 degrees. And I can solve for B. B is what I'm looking for. I can use cross multiplication. Basically, you're using the denominators to clear your fraction. So if I multiply both sides by B, I can reduce the B on the right side. And if I multiply both sides by 42.9, then I have cleared my fractions. So cleaning this all up, I will have B times sine of 32 degrees equals 42.9 times sine of 81.8 degrees. And now I just divide both sides by sine of 32 degrees. And I get the side B. This is what we have to put in our calculator. First, make sure that you are in degrees. Next, multiply 42.9 times the sine of 81.8. This will give me the numerator, and then divide it by sine of 32 degrees. That gives me 80.128. Since it looks like all these other values are being rounded to 1 decimal place, I'm going to do the same for this length. I'm going to round it to 1 decimal, so 80.1. B equals 80.1. So I can fill that in now. The length B opposite the angle B is 80.1. All that's left is to find C. I know that sine of A is sine of 32 degrees over 42.9. I also know that this can be equal to sine of C over C. So I can say sine of 66.2 degrees over C, the unknown side. And now I can solve for C by multiplying both sides by C, just like before when I was trying to find B. And then clearing my other denominator, which is going to be the 42.9. Notice that the C's divide out on the right side. Then when I multiply by 42.9 on both sides, the 42.9's divide out. And I get C times sine of 32 degrees equals 42.9 times sine of 66.2 degrees. And then I simply divide both sides by sine of 32 degrees on both sides. And that gives me C is equal to the calculation here on the right side. So I'll use my calculator once again. 42.9 times sine of 66.2. Get that answer, that's my numerator, and then divide it by the sine of 32 degrees. And we get C is equal to 74.1. So now I have all my sides and all my angles. This is absolutely, positively not to scale. If you're stuck and you're struggling to figure out how to draw a triangle, just draw a triangle, and then if it doesn't work out, go back and fix it. What I mean by that is, if you look at this 112.9 degrees, you can see that it's probably going to need to be extended this way quite a bit so that you're past the 90-degree mark, possibly even further. Do you see what I mean? You're going to have to think about your angles once you've drawn them, which means that B is probably going to be a pretty small angle, and it's going to be up here somewhere. But you have to get past the paralysis by analysis part of this and just draw something. So that's what I went ahead and did. I labeled this ABC in clockwise order, and then the opposite sides to the angles are little a, little b, and little c. A and C are not given, but I do have angles A and C. So if I have angle A is 31.10 degrees, and B is unknown, and C is 112.90, and I know that total I should have 180 degrees. That gives me an angle B of 36 degrees. I hope you can see how this is less critical about the sketch and more critical around like making sure you understand what we're doing. Now that we have all our angles, we can find the missing sides. I know that my rule says sine of angle A, 31.10 degrees, over side A equals, now remember, we could pick sine of angle C over C, but that one won't work because we don't know that side. So we have to pick sine of angle B over side B. And side B is 347.6. That's the length of side B. And now I can solve for A. I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by A, and that will allow me to clear the fraction on the left side. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by 347.6. And when I rewrite this, I should have 347.6 sine of 31.10 degrees equals, remember the 347.6 on the right side divided out, and I get A sine of 36 degrees. Now I just divide both sides by sine of 36 degrees. And I'm left with A is equal to whatever this comes out to in my calculator. First, I'll calculate 347.6 times sine of 31.10 degrees. That gives me 179.54, rounding up to 0.55. And then I will divide that by sine of 36 degrees. That gives me a side for A of 305.46. So I can replace this question mark here for side A with 305.46. Go ahead and do the same process for side C. Notice we can still set up all the sine laws the exact same way, but now you're going to solve for C. So go ahead and pause the video and give that a try. Welcome back. I'm going to set up sine of the angle I know and the side that was given originally. Sine of B, so sine of 36 degrees over side B, which is 347.6. And I'm going to set that equal to sine of C over C. Sine of C is sine of 112.90 degrees over side C, which we don't know, so we'll just put a C there. Now I need to solve for C, so I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by C and clear C on the right side. I'm also going to multiply both sides of my equation by 347.6. This will allow me to clear my fractions. And rewriting, I will have C times sine of 36 degrees is equal to 347.6 times sine of 112.90 degrees. Then I'll divide both sides by sine of 36 degrees. And that will allow me to divide out my sine of 36 on the left. That gives me C is equal to this fraction over here that we can simplify with our calculator. I'll take 347.6, multiply it by sine of 112.90. This gives me 320.20. Then I will divide that by sine of 36 degrees. And I have a side of 544.76. So C, side C, is 544.76 in length.